Hello, let's discuss about kingdom Protista. You know that kingdom Protista is one of the kingdom proposed by Robert Harding Whittaker. According to Robert Harding Whittaker, he said that all the living organisms can be classified into 5 kingdoms, and the 5 kingdoms proposed by Robert Harding Whittaker are kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Protista includes all the unicellular eukaryotic living organisms. We are discussing Kingdom Protista under chapter number 2, that is biological classification. Kingdom Protista was first proposed by Ernst Haeckel. Ernst Haeckel proposed 3 kingdom bases of classification of living organisms: Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Plantae, and Kingdom Animalia. So, first scientist who proposed Kingdom Protista was Ernst Haeckel. Kingdom Protista includes protist or protistan having single cell. We are very much familiar with amoeba. Amoeba is having single cell, and their nucleus is well defined. Their nucleus is having nuclear membrane and closing genetic material. Along with that, all the cell organelles in the amoeba are usually bound by membrane, surrounded by membrane. So that's why we are saying that Protista, like amoeba, are eukaryote, unlike bacteria, which are prokaryote, not having proper nucleus. Boundaries of Protista is not well defined. To some scientists, photosynthetic protist is plant. To some scientists, photosynthetic protistan or protist is protist. So boundary of Protista is not well defined. We are saying that some protists which are included under Kingdom Protista, if they are photosynthetic, some scientists categorize those photosynthetic protists into plant kingdom. Habitat of the protists is mostly aquatic. They survive in different water bodies, whether it be freshwater or marine. Protista kingdom is forming a link or connection between the kingdom Monera and kingdom Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. In between kingdom Monera and kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia, we have Kingdom Protista. So Protista is connecting link, or it is the connecting kingdom between Monera and other kingdoms. Most of the protists move from one place to another with the help of different locomotory structures. They are having different structures which help in movement, and those structures may be flagella, cilia, or pseudopodia, or they may be having other structures. So mode of reproduction in Protista includes sexual as well as asexual. So they are reproducing sexually as well as asexually. Now, there are different phyla which are included under Kingdom Protista. The first one we are going to discuss is chrysophytes. They are plant-like. We have dinoflagellates, we have euglenoids. So these 3 phyla are usually plant-like. They are photosynthetic protists. We also have slime molds, which are fungi-like. They are saprophytic. They depend on dead and decaying organic matter. We also have protozoans, which are usually animal-like, and they are predator. They usually feed on smaller living organisms. Or they may be parasitic. They are dependent on host living organism. You know about all these terms, right? Now, let's discuss the first phylum of Kingdom Protista. That is chrysophytes. Chrysophytes, the term chryso here refers to color of gold, or it usually indicates gold. Phyte here refers to plant. So they are plant-like, and they are usually having special color that is gold. They are usually golden in color. Chrysophytes include all the microscopic tiny living organism which usually float passively. They are not moving quickly. They are usually slow swimmers. They usually float on water bodies very slowly. So we can also call them as planktons, phytoplanktons, plant-like, and they are microscopic and they swim very sluggishly, very slowly. So chrysophytes include diatoms and golden algae. Golden algae are also called desmids. Chrysophytes are usually freshwater and marine protists. They can survive mainly in marine. They also do survive in freshwater. So the mode of nutrition is photosynthetic. They synthesize their own food. So they are photoautotrophic in nature. So sound was not working, right? And along with webcam is also not working. So let me stop webcam. Okay. Now we were discussing about chrysophytes, and we said that chrysophytes are photosynthetic. They usually synthesize their own food. So most of the chrysophytes are mainly diatoms. So diatoms are the chief producer in ocean. So most of the living organisms which are surviving in ocean depend on chrysophytes like diatoms. So diatoms are having a special cell wall. Their cell wall is having rich in silica. Silica is a material which is also used for different purposes. So silica is a hard material which usually make the cell wall of diatoms very hard and stiff. That's why the cell wall of chrysophytes or diatoms, mainly chrysophytes are diatoms. So cell wall of chrysophytes are usually indestructible. We can't destroy the cell wall of chrysophytes easily. Now the cell walls of chrysophytes, mainly diatoms, they are looking very much similar to the soap box. A box, and it is having a lid. So soap box like cell wall of diatoms makes them indestructible, and their cell wall is mainly composed of silica, right? So you can see here the pictures you are able to see that the soap box like appearance of your diatoms or the chrysophytes. Right, so we were saying that diatoms are the main living organism which are included under chrysophytes. So because of the cell wall which are very hard, rich in silica, as the diatoms die, they usually settle in the ocean floor. Or whenever diatoms settle in the ocean floor, they usually form a special soil. And that soil is called as diatomaceous earth. So deposits of diatoms in the ocean floor is looking similar to a gritty soil, a rough soil, and that is called as diatomaceous earth. So we use diatomaceous earth for different purposes. We use diatomaceous earth for polishing. We also use diatomaceous earth for filtration purpose. We are usually filtering oils and syrups with the help of diatomaceous earth. Now let's discuss about dinoflagellates. Dino here refers to terrifying. Terrifying here refers to horrifying, right? Something that is very horrible to see. Flagellates here refers to having flagella. So dinoflagellates are having flagella, and they are usually terrible to see. They are horrible to observe. So dinoflagellates survive in marine environment. They are usually photosynthetic. get their nutrition by process of photosynthesis. Usually dinoflagellates appear yellowish in color, green, they may be brown, or they may be blue in color. Some of dinoflagellates looks reddish in color according to the pigment present in their body. So they are appearing in different color mainly because of the different pigment present in them. Cell wall of dinoflagellates are usually very hard and it is made up of cellulose. Now, as if you observe carefully, you are able to see two flagella. One flagellum which is longitudinal in arrangement, and the other flagellum is in horizontal or transverse in arrangement. So dinoflagellates are usually biflagellate, having two flagella, one in horizontal fashion and the other in longitudinal direction. Now the most common example of dinoflagellate we give is gonialex. Gonialex are rapidly multiplying dinoflagellates. They usually make the sea appear red because of the rapid multiplication and formation of many thousands of gonialex. There is making of sea. The sea color will be changed into reddish in color, and because of the production of toxic substances by gonialex, as they multiply in thousands of number, they can kill marine animals. So they are usually producing toxin or toxic substances, harmful substances, which may kill the marine living organisms. So this is all about dinoflagellates. Now let's discuss about euglenoids. Euglenoids are usually found in fresh water or stagnant water which are usually, say like in case of pond. Euglenoids are not having cell wall. Instead of cell wall, they are having a special membrane that is called as pellicle. So their pellicle or the outermost covering is usually rich in protein. So because of the pellicle layer around euglena or euglenoids, euglena is an example of euglenoid. So in euglena we are having pellicle. Because of pellicle, they are showing flexible body. As you can see in this animation, euglena is moving by changing its shape. So the mode of nutrition in euglenoid is mixotrophic. Mixo refers to mixed, trophic here refers to feeding. So mixotrophic mode of nutrition is exhibited by euglenoids. So they are photosynthetic whenever there is presence of sunlight, and they can become heterotrophic whenever sunlight is not present. If they become heterotrophic, they feed on, they are becoming predator, and they are predating on smaller living organisms. So the most common example is euglena. As you can see the diagram shown here, euglena is having flagellum for movement, and it is covered by pellicle, usually the Protista substances. And it is also having chloroplast, rich in chloroplast for carrying out photosynthesis. Now let's discuss about slime mold. Mode of nutrition in slime mold is saprotrophic. So saprotrophic here refers to they are dependent on dead and decaying materials. So whenever they are say like fallen twigs or branches or leaves of the plant, slime molds feed on those rotting branches or leaves of plant, and they get their nutrition. So they usually are similar to fungi. They engulf or take in organic materials. So under suitable condition, they multiply in many numbers. So slime molds multiply in many number and form plasmodium. As you can see in this picture, this is a colony of slime mold. So this colony of slime mold is known as plasmodium, and plasmodium is formed by rapid multiplication of slime molds, or plasmodium is aggregation of many slime molds. So whenever there is unfavorable condition, then they usually, the cells, the slime molds usually differentiate. They specialize themselves and they started producing fruiting body. They started producing a structure which usually produces spores. And thereby there is formation of spores. And these spores are covered by true cell wall. So because of the presence of cell wall or wall around spores, these spores are very resistant and can survive for many years, dispersed and usually these spores can be dispersed from one place to another by air current, and that's why slime mold is found almost everywhere in the forest. Now let's discuss about protozoan, the last phyla that we have to discuss under kingdom Protista. Protozoan were said to be the first animals, and they are observed as animalcules. Animal refers to animals, right? Those living organisms which are included under kingdom Animalia. So animals which are very small in nature are called as protozoan in early times. And they are believed to be the most primitive relatives of animal, the earliest or ancestor of animals. Mode of nutrition observed in protozoan is usually heterotrophic. They may be either predator or parasites. Under kingdom Protista, protozoans, we have these four major groups. We have amoeboid protozoan, flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoans, and sporozoans. Let's discuss one by one. First, we have to discuss about amoeboid protozoan. The term itself is very clear, right? Amoeboid refers to looking similar to amoeba. Yes, and amoeba is one of the main living organism or protist, which is included under amoeboid protozoan. So the habitat where amoeboid protozoan live is either in freshwater, marine water, or in soil which are rich in water or moist soil. Marine forms usually have shell which are rich in silica, a covering which is rich in silica. So the mode of nutrition that we have been seeing in amoeba is they are following heterotrophic mode of nutrition, and the mode of nutrition is holozoic in case of amoeba. If we are talking about amoeba is one example, right? Amoeba is heterotrophic, they are holozoic. They usually feed on food particles by producing pseudopodia, and there is formation of food vacuole. Later on, food vacuole will be digested with the help of enzymes, and there is formation of there is release of nutrients, and later on undigested food are released out with the help of contractile vacuole. Now amoeba is having special finger-like structure called as pseudopodia, and these are false feet. They also move with pseudopodia, right? Not just for capturing food. Food for amoeba is usually prey, tiny living organisms. So in case of ant amoeba, as you can see in this microscopic view, ant amoeba is usually parasitic in nature. They usually depend on fossil living organism. So the most common example that we give under amoeboid protozoan are amoeba and ant amoeba. Now, flagellated protozoans. Flagellated here refers to having flagella. So, protists which are having flagella are categorized under flagellated protozoans. So, as you can see in this image, it is this is a diagrammatic representation of trypanosoma, and you can see the flagella, which is very distinct and easy to observe. Flagellated protozoan may be either free living or they may be parasitic. They can survive freely or they are dependent on host living organisms for survival. In us, trypanosoma usually causes disease called as sleeping sickness. As you can see in this microscopic animated image, there are two trypanosoma moving with the help of flagella. So this is all about flagellated protozoan. Now let's discuss about ciliated protozoans. Ciliated protozoans are unique about the body being covered by cilia. So they are usually aquatic, survive in water body, and entire cell of ciliated protozoan, like paramecium as shown here, is covered by cilia. There are thousands of hair-like structures which surrounds paramecium, and they usually move with the help of cilia. So the mode of nutrition observed in ciliated protozoan is usually happening with the help, they are usually heterotrophs, depend on other living organisms. They usually feed on prey with the help of flagella. With the help of cilia. We were discussing about cilia, right? So cilia moves randomly, and there is pushing of food particles present in water, and there is engulfing or taking in of food particles into the gullet. Gullet is the cavity which is exposed outside the body cell of paramecium. So we were saying that there is coordinated movement. Usually there is all the cilia moves randomly, and in a way they are matching each other, so that there is possibility of entry of food particles present in water into the gullet, and gullet is the cavity which is present in cell of ciliated protozoan like paramecium, and later on they usually digest the food that they have taken in. So the most common example of ciliated protozoan is paramecium. So now let's discuss about sporozoan. Sporozoans are usually very infectious, and they usually produce spore-like stage in their life cycle. In the life cycle of sporozoans, they do follow a special stage called as special stage, where there is production of spore-like structure. So the most common example of sporozoan is Plasmodium, which is malarial parasite which causes malaria. And example, as we have said earlier, it is Plasmodium, and this is a microscopic image of sporozoan, and showing sporozoan along with the blood cells, red blood cells. You can see sporozoan. So that there is another diagrammatic representation of sporozoan, having nucleus and other cellular organs, cell organelles, and cell membrane. Not necessary for you to understand in detail. Now try to answer these questions. Enlist 5 phyla under kingdom Protista. Easy, right? You have to state 2 uses of diatomaceous earth formed by diatoms. Very easy. Then you have to discuss about the characteristic features of cell wall of chrysophytes. Then you have to give a reason why do euglena exhibits a flexible body, and then you have to discuss mixotrophic mode of nutrition in case of euglenoi. We have already discussed. So sixth one is you have to mention 4 major groups of protozoan, and then you have to discuss about the habitat and mode of nutrition in case of amoeboid protozoan. We have already done, easy, right? Then 8th question is you have to explain how is flagellated protozoan different from ciliated protozoan. You can also differentiate by making column, right? 2 columns. So 9th question asks you to give an example, and you have to discuss the characteristic features of sporozoans. Then 10th one is plasmodium with, you have to explain plasmodium with reference to slime molds. Slime molds are single cell and they usually form colony called plasmodium, so you have to explain that. So this is all for this video, and I would seek your support for not showing up the webcam. My face cam is not shown here due to technical problem. So I was facing this technical problem and I was trying my level best to come up with a webcam and produce a better picture, but I was trying in between and it's not coming. This is like a live telecast. I'm just recording whatever is shown on the screen of my laptop and explaining all these things, and in between I'm also working on making face cam, the slide and all the pictures to come together. So because of all these complex thing, I was not able to come up with the face cam. So it's a technical issue. I was trying many times and it's not coming. So I would seek your excuse for that, though we are not supposed to give excuse, but so during this time I would seek your excuse. Sorry, thank you. I'll try to come up with better videos later. So for this time I would seek your support. Thank you.